Okay, so I'm here today with Rafa Feliz, who's an expert in marketing analytics. And of course, A/B testing is a big part of marketing analytics in general, and specifically when you're doing content or doing a CRO, you're trying to figure out whether a certain idea you had, something you wanted to try, is actually working or not. You have to set up an organized A/B test to get, hard, reliable data that you can refer to when determining for a fact, not just based on your intuition, whether something is actually working or not. So, Rafa, can you briefly explain what A/B testing is and specifically how it is part of the CRO process?
Sure. Well, thanks to be back for the invitation, Alex. You gave us the basis, so it's all about removing the guesswork. In the past, we there were two ways that we would make decisions on which way to go on when it came to marketing and advertising. Or the marketeer was such a genius that he would simply know what was the best solution or the best option. Or number two, the best companies, they would pay for very expensive marketing researches to determine that information. The good news is that now we can, this marketing research is available for small companies, for companies of any size at all. And it replaces it, it saves the equivalent of millions of dollars sometimes that you would do to actually get to people, call people, talk to them in the street and stuff like that. So it addresses the same need, but in a more effective way, a cheaper way, and even a more statistical relevant way. Let me give you an example instead of trying to explain. Imagine that you sell a software, and this software solves 10 different kinds of problems, right? But we're not sure which of those problems are the most important problems for our audience. Which of the solutions can actually catch our audience's attention? One way that we can address it is to write 10 ads, each of them addressing one of those needs. And in the end, we run the ads, we expose them to our audience, and we see which of them gets more clicks. What we call, the name of the KPI is CTR, click-through rate. So this is one. It could be also a change to the website. We can change the top part of the website, split the traffic, and in the end see which of them performs better. And it can even be a change to the process of buying or getting contact in the website. So let's say that you have an e-commerce and you sell a software and you want to know the impact of giving a free trial to remove the anxiety of the audience. You don't want to give a free trial. Before you do that, you want to see if it can actually move the needle in improving the total number of people that are starting their purchase process. Great. We send half of the traffic to version with free trial and another part of it that won't get the free trial. And we see if the uplift is real or if we are just wasting time and money giving the clients the free trial session.
Yeah, that's a really good example. It actually sort of leads into the next thing we're going to talk about, which is addressing the nine frictions with A/B tests. So a lot of people that do A/B testing, they're just like, okay, well, if I change this color of this module, will there be more clicks? But you have to have a deeper understanding of that to know what you want to try to A/B test and to have a good idea of what's going to work. So at JMarketing, we have a framework called the nine frictions that people have that you have to overcome to get them to make a purchase decision. And I think the free trial actually sort of touches upon the first and possibly most important friction, which is showcasing the completeness of your solution. Like, one great way to do that through an A/B test is, like you said, just offering a free trial to 50% of people that visit the website and not offering a free trial to the other 50%. because the free trial, can show how complete the solution is, especially if, as I would recommend, like the free trial, it's like a limited time thing, but you have all the features of the software, for example. So, yeah, I think that's one good way to showcase completeness of solution or product performance, as we like to call it. So, another one of the nine frictions that is also extremely important, one of the ones I would say you always have to touch upon, is showcasing your expertise. So, if a company wants to set up an A/B test to try and figure out what the best way they can show their expertise is, like how would you recommend that they approach that process? And can you give examples of some A/B tests for expertise that have worked in the past?
Sure. So the first point is to try to tangibilize your expertise. So is it a certificate that you have? Is it a diploma? Is it 25 years of experience? So how can you tangibilize your expertise into something that we can test? So let's say that you have 25 years in the market, you have very specific certificates that not everyone has. And finally, you are accredited by a specific institution. So these are three possible tests that we can use to see which of those is more impressive to our audience. Of course, we can test them individually. So in this case, we are testing three different ways of showcasing your expertise. Because let's say that you have a part on your website that you want to show your expertise and you want to understand which of them should go first, which of them should have more space in on your website. So we can test them, but we can also test, as you said, completeness of solution against expertise, against each of the other friction points as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, can you give an example of like a hypothetical A/B test for expertise that you might set up?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's use, we have a client in the coach industry. He he's accredited by a very important person on the market, on his market, an institution as well. He is even accredited by the government, and he has a very long experience in the area. And we tested each of those points to understand how we would build the website. So what should be for him, all of them are important, and he could have a guess. The client could have a guess of which of them is more relevant to the market, but in the end, he's actually saying which of the 3 points is more relevant to him. If we need to understand the market, we need and remove the guesswork. We need to do that test. And surprise, it was not the one that he thought that would win. And after this test, that we compared the different ads, which of each of them having as a headline one of those points, we got the data from the A/B test, and we improved the structure of how we would showcase his expertise on the website.
Yeah, I think you actually kind of brought up two important points there. So I think firstly, it's like you said, a lot of clients they have an idea of what they want to emphasize, highlight, make more prominent, but that's really just based on what's more important to them. And I mean, where we come in is we have to understand what's actually more important to their target audience, not what's more important to the client, which of course we do through, A/B testing largely. And another interesting thing you brought up is doing A/B testing for messaging through like Google Ads, but what you're testing is messaging you're going to put on the website. So can you talk a little bit more about doing Google Ads A/B testing for stuff that's actually going to be on the website?
You mean related to expertise or in general?
I just meant in general, like if you're A/B testing messaging that you're going to put on the website, um, but you do it through Google Ads. So can you briefly touch upon like how and why you do it that way?
Sure. Well, the reason why we're doing in via Google Ads, it's the main reason is because it's faster and we have a larger sample. So yes, we can do it. We can make the changes directly to the website. For example, changing the first headline. There are tools that will show each of the versions of the website to a part of the audience. But then you are relying only on the people that actually went to the website. When we do it via Google Ads, we can show it to a sample that's sometimes 10 times higher, and so more statistical relevance. And we can also um, test it without actually making changes to the website, which has a institutional components to it. So one thing is changing the ad, which is generally cheaper and smaller change, and you're not changing what people actually see on the website that also can impact your brand and things like that. So we do the test on Google. We write the 10 different ads, and then these tests, the result of these tests, the ads that these ads are going to be displayed, let's say 10,000 times each of them, to the audience. And the ones that gets the more clicks will be the ones that will um, um, basically be ordered, ranked in a way of the ones that can attract the most attention of our audience, that are more important to our audience and more catchy. And this will impact how we build our website. So let's say that we are, again, let's use the example of the expertise. We have those three components of how to showcase the company's expertise. And that they are accredited, their certification, and the time that they are in the market. And if we discover that the government certification is the most important, we're going to put it right on top, or maybe make a module just to talk about that. Eventually, we could record a video or an image or something like that. So the website should reflect the importance that the audience gives to each of those components. This is how we will optimize the website's conversions. Of course, these knowledges are important to the business in general. We have even clients that shape their business model around the discoveries that we make on some of the A/B tests. So important they are.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for that insight. And of course, that process, approach, use of the Google Ads really applies to um, all of the nine frictions, especially for testing messaging rather than some other components such as whatever the placement on a page or the color, etc. So, moving on to another really important one of the nine frictions, which is product durability or long-term value. So, if you want to use an A/B test to try and figure out the best way to show like a product's long-term value, how would you approach that, and like what are some examples of A/B tests for product durability that you've run in the past?
Mhm. Okay. Well, the product's durability will be around, I'm going to purchase something, for how long it's going to be useful for me, right? So there are several approaches that we can give to it. So if we're talking about a software, we can approach the fact that, well, is this still going to be useful 5 years from now, 2 years from now? And also the time of the kind of the offer. So there are many companies that use the lifetime offer for a product. You buy it now and it's going to be useful. You can use it for the rest of your life. So we have these kinds. When we're talking about a product, a physical product, we can talk about the warranty. We can talk about the materials it's used. So let's say whatever product it is, it's made of steel or things like that, that indirectly talks about the quality of the product. And finally, depending on the channel that we are using, what we're talking about Google Ads, but let's say that we are using YouTube as a channel, we can actually show the product and show the material it's made of and things like that. So comparing the different approaches will give us and running the campaigns and showcasing it to the clients and seeing which of them gets the most clicks will show us which aspect of the product durability can actually remove the friction points from the client's mind.
Yeah, exactly. There are several, as you were saying, there are several different ways you can try and showcase the product's durability, and obviously collect the data and compare and see which is the most effective way. So, moving on to product pricing. Now, I know a lot of companies, especially a lot of B2B companies, they're a bit hesitant to display their prices. So, I guess when you're testing different ways to, you know, show people like the pricing of the product, or at least give them an idea, which is something that people want. So it's really an important friction you have to overcome by actually providing them with some info. I suppose when you're doing A/B testing, you have to test out a few different approaches, um, obviously to see which is the most effective in terms of conversions. But there's also kind of a component where you have to maybe, convince the client that they should take a current a certain approach based on the data, right? So how would you approach product pricing for A/B testing for product pricing, keeping in mind that you also will need to like use the data to convince the client to do something they might be like a little bit reluctant about?
Okay, well, first of all, we need to determine if it is a good strategy to even talk about pricing. So some companies simply don't want to talk about pricing at all. Is this a good strategy or not? Right. So sometimes this came from another. It's being a company's policy for some time for whatever reason. So we can run ads to determine if it is good or positive or not to display the product's price. There are also indirect ways that we can use. So dealing with curiosity, see prices here or see a comparison table and attracting them to the websites so that they can see the price and compare it against the features or compare it against a competitor, things like that. And finally, we have the price changes themselves. So we talked about the free trial, but we can have, for example, let's have a promotion this month and where the prices are going to be down by 20% and see the impact on sales. And we can do that by having different landing pages and different ads that promote different prices, or or even sometimes there are things that we can simply offer different price ranges on the ads and see which of them gets more clicks and what's the difference between them. So is it a 10% uplift? Is it a 50% uplift? Are we talking about a complete game changer that doubles the traffic to the website? So all of those are ways that we can effectively measure the impact of changing the price or giving a discount or things like that, or even the way that we talk about the price and see the impact that will have on sales or leads, etc.
Yeah, there are quite a few different ways we can go about doing it, but as you said, with a subject that can be a bit touchy, like displaying the product price, a lot of times it's best to simply start by A/B testing like a page that doesn't show the price and a page that simply does show the price, and then you can get past the first hurdle, which is showing the client, okay, the data shows that it actually is way better to display the price than to just not have any info about the price. Thankfully, most of the other nine frictions that we have to overcome, the clients aren't, they're more willing to test that. They're more willing to display the info. Like, for example, production capacity, when you want to show people that the company can actually deliver as many products as they need when they need them. Most companies are very happy to display that info. So, as far as production capacity goes, how would you approach A/B testing for production capacity? on what are some like elements on a web page that you might want to try out to see if they can, overcome the production capacity friction.
Mhm. Okay, so first, let's maybe separate if it's a service. There are many companies that do that by showcasing their team. You can see that many websites address this by having the pictures of the team, and also talking a little bit, not just production capacity, it's not just about quantity, it's also about the quality, right? So showcasing their team's expertise and size, etc. They can also say things like the amount of employees they have, or it will depend on each company's differentials that they have. When it comes to a product, we have a client, for example, that they produce branded products with their client's logo, and sorry, with their client's logo, and let's suppose that someone needs to have something for a special date. Their clients needs to be sure that the product will be delivered on time, so they can display how many products they have produced in the previous year, or they can talk about we accept orders up to X amount, and put a number that's high enough. So there are these different ways. So maybe the first thing is to understand what are your advantages. If you're a service, how are you different from the clients? How can you prove and tangibilize your production capacity? And if it's a product, more or less the same, how many products you can build, or your past experiences, your past orders, and things like that.
Yeah, I think you brought up a good point there, which is, while I mean there are nine frictions, you want to try and overcome as many of them as possible. It's not always going to be possible to overcome all of them, so it's important to look at the client's USPs and see which of the frictions you can overcome with the USP. Like, for example, when it comes to the next friction we're going to talk about, timely delivery, like, is one of the client's USPs that they can deliver their, products or provide their services like way faster than their competitors, and that's definitely one of the things you want to highlight. Um, Even though it's, not, if they don't have that USP, you can just skip over that friction. But say they do have a very fast delivery time that's, superior to that of their competitors. Um, like, how would you try to highlight that on a web page? I think specifically, so if you're talking about a detailed timeline that's just the same for everyone, or a customized timeline that's that the customer themselves can whatever put in their own variables and see a timeline that's just best for them. Would that be an A/B test you would run between like one timeline that's the same for everyone, or a customized timeline that's specific to that customer?
Yes, I would. This would be one of a very good approach. I would say that the delivery of any product or service starts with the communication with the client. So, for example, if you have a website where people can call you or send you a message, how much time does it take for you to even go back to the client? There are several studies that show that if you reply in the first 5 minutes, some of them say it multiplies by 50 the chances that you actually sell to that client. Some of them are even more aggressive in that number, but it's definitely huge. So the delivery of the product or service starts with the impression of the delivery of the service. So the how your audience will see you in matters of delivery will start with your communication with them. So I would put this as a major point. So communicate quickly with your client base. I have some clients that needs to make the business decision if they're going to be um, if they will be open for reply on weekends or not, and we run the test. They want to know if there will be enough audience and people trying to get in touch during the weekends, and we can run campaigns that will determine exactly that, just for them to see if it's economically viable for them to have an extra person replying to the leads during the weekend. It will depend from business to business and from audience to audience. The important part is to combine the business model of the person, but with what the audience is actually telling us via those tests. It's very common to try to make the audience fit into our offer instead of trying to make our offer fit into what our audience actually needs. And the time delivery is just another point. So even if they have a longer delivery time, and they want to know if they want to invest in a new solution to make the time delivery quicker, these tests can save a lot of money understanding if that's actually the case. So sometimes they can think, oh, this is going to be super important, and we change the delivery time, and we discover that we make some kind of a test for a specific city, let's say, that they can deliver it quicker, and we see no difference, no tangible difference in the conversion rate. So we can determine that, no, this is not a good point to invest in the business, because it's not going to bring us the uplift that we expect. It's better to invest improving other aspects of the service or product.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you touched upon another good point there, which is sometimes when you're running an A/B test, like if you're running an A/B test for, well, should the client show that, they can deliver their product or service really fast or not? Like, okay, well, obviously if they do say, we can deliver our product to you in one business day versus not having the information, that's going to definitely increase conversions. But you also need to see like how much better one option performs than the other. Like, for example, for timely delivery, did they need to hire a part-time employee whose job is just to like communicate with prospective clients on the weekend? Because of course that would cost them money, but is the difference big enough that would still be profitable if I hire another employee?
That's exactly it.
Yeah, and I think that applies to a lot of the frictions, including the next one we're going to talk about, which is showcasing the similar clients that companies have worked for. So obviously, if companies show that, okay, we have worked for clients that are similar to our target audience, they've been happy with our product, that's going to help. But if you want to, put a bit more time and effort into it, like for example, try and get clients to like record video testimonials. Maybe you have to pay for whatever cameraman, video editor, and stuff like that. So that would cost money. Is it going to be worth it for them to spend extra money on showcasing this expertise? So I guess going back to the basic approach for similar client expertise, like what are the different ways that a company can show that they've worked well with similar clients, their target audience, and what are some hypothetical A/B tests you would set up for that?
Well, just giving a quick recap on what is the similar clients friction point. So that's also known as the full restaurant and empty restaurant scenario. So imagine that you are in a street and there are two restaurants. One of them is full of people. The other one, there's no one at all. In which of them would you prefer to eat? Most people would say in the full restaurant, right? So this is the kind of impression that we want to bring and attract and use to attract our audience. But there's a catch there. Imagine that you're 70 years old and the restaurant that's full, it's full of teenagers, 15 years old. And maybe the other one is empty and quiet. Maybe you will prefer the empty one. So it is about having what we call social proof, but the word similar is also, it's not just about having clients, it's about having clients that are similar to them. So this will actually start with understanding who are our clients and finding a way to tangibilize that. So in this example, it would be age, but it could be size of company. So let's say that you have a product that you service big companies, medium companies, and small companies. We need to understand in each segment of the advertising, who are we actually reaching out for? So we can do an A/B test. So let's say that people are searching for your solution on Google using a specific search term, and in one of them we can say something like we have solutions for enterprises. Another one we have solutions for SMB companies, small and medium businesses. And with that, the one that gets the most clicks will tell us which company, which kind of company or which size of company is using that specific term. This also touches a point that sometimes people run an A/B test and they think that because something is true for a specific segment, it's going to be true for the whole market. That's definitely not true. So when it comes to Google search, we will discover that certain keywords are more related to enterprise and other words are more related to SMBs. So this is a way. So simply let them know if we are which of them we're targeting. So we can say that we have more than 1,000 SMB companies in our client base, or in the other, we can say that we have clients in the among the biggest companies in the world, and things like that, and see which of them performs best.
Yeah, you touched upon a really good point there, which is some companies think that, okay, we'll just show that we've worked with, these are the biggest, most well known clients we've worked with. We'll just put that on our website, even if maybe those clients aren't very similar to their average, prospective customer, to their target audience. So you do need to do A/B tests for different segments to determine which is best for which segment, which has the biggest overall benefit. Sort of the same thing you need to do when you're trying to show that you offer really good customer service. You need to maybe run A/B tests for different segments. So can you talk a little bit about how you would do an A/B test for customer service and what like common, elements or functionality is in a website you might try out?
Yeah. Well, it will depend a lot on the industry, but it has to do, again, it has to do with the relationship with the client. So you can talk about your policies in the customer service. You can give examples of how you will deal with the customer service. So everything goes really well before you buy the product, but after you will have different companies with completely different approaches. Testimonials, testing testimonials is a very effective way as well. And so we can test different ways that we can approach the customer service differentials, but it can even be more simple. So let's say that you have 5 testimonials and you want to pick one to be on the cover of your website or to get specific attention. Most people will simply pick the one that they like the most. They can even pick the testimonial that that's the company liked the most for any reason, but maybe that's not the one that will reflect their real differentials when it comes to customer service. So we can do that via A/B testing as well by creating an ad that takes people to different pages that showcase each of those differentials and see which of them can convert the best.
Yep. Exactly. So moving on to the final friction we're going to talk about. So return policy or guarantee. When I think about this, I think there might be sort of a two-part A/B test or two A/B tests, however you want to put it, because a lot of companies, they don't actually have a guarantee or a return policy. So I think the first A/B test maybe would be, should they actually have a return policy or guarantee? Does that actually increase conversions a lot? And then maybe the second part would be, how should they display the return policy or guarantee? Like what should the specifics be exactly? So is that how you would approach this as like maybe a two-part process?
Mhm. Well, first of all, the need that the issue that this friction point addresses is the client asking themselves before they buy, well, what if it's not what I wanted? What if it cannot solve my problem? So sometimes if you don't have a guarantee policy or return policy, things like that, we can address the same problem through other means. So, for example, if we increase the amount of information about the product or service, we bring testimonials. There are other ways to address the same friction on their head. So that's one. But if you do have and we can test it, then definitely we can test the different approaches to it. So, for example, if you're giving a return policy guarantee, and you want to determine how long it should be. So let's say we have a 7-day return policy, we have a 1 month return policy, or what will it cover, what won't it cover? The best way is to test it. As I said, a good A/B test an important A/B test can even shape how the business model works. And sometimes we can go through a big effort thinking that, we're going to give them 6 months return policy, imagining that with this sales will go up. But sometimes it simply won't, and you just had just made all this effort for nothing, for not a significant uplift. So it is important for us to see whatever change that you're going to make, what's going to be the impacts on sales. And sometimes it is huge. Sometimes you think the client thinks that that's not a problem, but it's actually the major problem of their audience. The A/B test will remove guesswork and give a statistically relevant information about that and give us the next step.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, that really applies to all the different frictions. And one of the best ways to track the statistics accurately and make sure that you are getting significant results is using Google Analytics is a really important tool for doing A/B tests. So briefly, can you talk about like the process of setting up an A/B test using Google Analytics and analyzing it, and some common mistakes to avoid?
Mm-hmm. Sure. Well, Google Analytics is the big brother, let's say, of the website. They will monitor every single step of the client on your website. And maybe the first problem is that many people don't do the correct setup. So the Google Analytics needs to be set up it needs to be fine-tuned to what you want to discover from your audience. So you need to determine what are the specific actions that will represent that engagement of the client. So sometimes you want them to download a video, sometimes you want them to fill in a form, buy a product, but sometimes it's just watch a video. Some clients have a longer buying cycle, and you want to make sure that they watch the video first, or read a specific part of your website. So having all of those goals set up is the first point. You have to determine them. And then, of course, there's the technical part that you have to properly implement them. That's the point number one. And the second biggest mistake is to misinterpret the data. So there's a general idea that the more people stay on the websites, the better. Sometimes it's good, but sometimes it's just that they don't understand how your website works, and they're just lost, right? So if you have if you have people increasing the time they spend on your website, and together with that, you have that they are filling in more forms or engaging more with you, then it's great. But if you connect those two metrics, people are spending more time on your website, but they're not filling in the form or buying your product, it probably means that there's a missing information, or it's not easy for them to understand what they should do and things like that. So this is just one example. We have hundreds of different KPIs and combinations that we can use. So misinterpreting what the data means is also a very big mistake. So of course there's a difference, there's a gap between the data and the knowledge that you extract from the data. Being able to correctly interpret that is a major part of a successful data-oriented campaign.
Yeah, so it certainly requires a level of expertise to set up Google Analytics properly. Not just to like set up the conversion tracking properly, but also to interpret the data. It can be a bit overwhelming for businesses that may be just starting to think about A/B testing to optimize their conversions. But say you're a business that's just realize they need to be doing this. Um, the first step is probably to have experts like review their marketing processes and determine where they should be doing A/B testing, right? Like what's the initial step you would recommend for businesses that just have figured out they need to be doing A/B testing?
Well, if you need something to be done correctly, some people say, "Oh, do it yourself." No, almost always this will not be the case. And yeah, you need to focus on what you're really good at, focus on your business, and let the professionals actually do their work on this specific term, on this specific topic. It does require not just a lot of technical expertise, but also experience. So you need to fail. Sometimes you need to do tests that don't work sometimes so that you can actually understand the correct way of approaching it. If you don't measure the tests, if you don't design the test properly and all the tracking parts properly, you cannot do it retrospectively. You cannot a year from now look back, oh, let's see what my data says. No, if you didn't set it up properly from the beginning, you won't be able to look back at the data and extract all the knowledge that you need. So if time is important to you and you can really not afford to not be successful, I would definitely recommend that you search for an expert on that area. And JMarketing has a very structured team capable of delivering that.
Yeah, absolutely. We're definitely experts with a lot of skills and knowledge and experience in doing A/B testing to improve businesses' conversions. So, working with JMarketing, we'll start by getting a $995 digital marketing audit. It's a full marketing audit for every aspect of your marketing, including identifying places where you should be doing A/B testing to see um, whether a different approach will improve your conversions. And it also includes, reviewing your Google Ads, SEO, website design, everything you can imagine. So that's a great first start for businesses that know they need marketing experts in general, and specifically for businesses that realize they need to be doing some A/B testing to increase their conversions.
That's it.
Yep. Okay, well, Rafa, thank you for coming on the podcast today and sharing your expertise. I know I learned a lot, and I'm sure that our listeners learned a lot too. So thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Alex. Thanks, everybody.